Hey guys, it's mcfixit here. I'm going to make this sweet looking disc with just a few tools and a few supplies, and I want to show you exactly how I do it. I'm using a blank today, so there is no color, no nothing, so I'm not going to have to use acetone, but a lot of times I would have to. But I'm going to walk you through all the tools and the supplies on exactly what I do. I'm going to be using this little logo I created, National Champions 2021. Try to make it as close to looking similar to the actual, sorry, I said 2022. 2021, it was played in 2022. So you get the picture. This was for my buddy Dalton, and I put it on Oracle 5160. This is a clear one, so the weeding is going to be very hard to see, but if you look at the right angle, it has been cut. I learned a little trick with putting circles and lines around it, so when you're putting it on your disc, it's going to make it so much easier to line up properly. This is a little 3D print job I did. I use this actually for spin dies, but it also works really well for lining things up and getting everything exactly where it needs to be. I use a lot of Dawn dish soap and water to clean things up. We're going to be using iDye Poly Black. This is a 16-ounce container, 1 packet of iDye Poly. Make sure it's nice and mixed up. Go ahead and put it in your pan. We'll warm that up in a minute. This is a pan I only use for black, and so it did have a little bit of residue, but it's not got anything really. Denatured alcohol is really good for any of the stickiness left on the disc. I use a little butane torch. And then I'm going to be using some different colors for Lotion dye. I know I'm going to use a brown for this right here, and I know I'm going to use a red, but I haven't decided if I'm going to use this kind of silver gray iDye Poly, and so this is another iDye Poly. It's just the basic brown. Then the red is by Prochem and Dye. All of them are pretty much a 4-ounce bottle, and it's either a quarter of a teaspoon or a quarter of a packet. That's how I do it. You don't have to be super exact, but you do want enough dye and lotion mixture. And I have a heat lamp as well. This heat lamp is something I had just started using. It's one of the kind of basic ones. We have a Rural King nearby, and I got it there, got the lamp. I think it's 250 watt lamp. Be careful with that. Let that sit for about an hour under the heat lamp, and you should be good. And I use an electric burner that I have the pan on, and I only put it up to about 2.5, so I'm not even going to do it yet, but I only put it up to about 2.5. I use a heat gun. This works really well. You can use a hairdryer as well. Sometimes I need to cut the stencil a little bit more. The Cricut does a great job, but sometimes things are unpredictable. Sharpie is really good. A couple of weeding tools are really helpful as well, and something to scrape. You can use an old credit card or gift card. A lot of times rulers are helpful, and sometimes scissors are too. So let's go ahead and jump into the dye. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and weed. A lot of times I press down, put this at about 45-degree angle, scrape across, and then we're going to go ahead and start weeding. We want everything that's going to be black. So anything you don't want a different, or whatever you want to be black, you're going to go ahead and pull. If you want it to be white or any other color, don't pull it yet, because we're going to do that hot bed dye right over here of black. Okay, that is a little bit of a tedious process, but you just want to make sure everything is taken out that you want out. And in fact, I missed the centerpiece. Sometimes you can mess things up like that as well. But overall, I think that looks good. Go back and double check everything. That is how you want it to be. And I am going to try to do this kind of a brown like a football, and this red with the fire red. So I think that looks good right there. We're going to go ahead and get a piece of vinyl, and so this is transfer paper. And a lot of times I put like lines and stuff on this. I'm trying kind of a new technique and not doing that, and actually just putting the lines on here. It may work well, it may not. This might be the only time I ever do it, so we're about to find out together. And if you watched any of my videos, one thing you will know about me, I do not like the transfer paper on the paper that it comes with because it's white. So I always save back one of these that has the Oracle 5160 that's white, and I re-put it on that when I'm done. You don't have to do that. That's just something I really prefer to do. And this just has to kind of get close because you're not really using any of these guidelines. You are using that beautiful line that you had the Cricut put on there. So see how well this one works. I do spend some good quality time back and forth. And at this time we can go ahead and turn this on. We're going to put this to 2.5, and so that should start heating it up. Because we still have quite a bit of air bubbles and everything else to get out. But we'll go ahead and get that started. We'll go ahead and pull up this stencil. So a lot of times what I like to do is just go into a corner and kind of poke into it. Oh. And it looks like it cut a little deep on a couple of these pieces, which is not good. My Cricut setting must have not been 100% correct. So we're going to try our best to fix that as we go. So at this point, you're just checking to make sure all the lettering, really all like the negative space on the lettering, comes up. I don't really like to do this, but we do have to get these pieces off. This is just the paper backing. So hopefully it comes pretty smooth, which it looks like it is. I don't know why it does that sometimes. I've only had that a couple of times, and it has been on the clear ones. So perfect. Okay, all right, now go ahead and take this. You can position this if you want. And I am going to put it off to the side. I know it is not centered, but what matters most right now is that I am able to center this up. So that's what you're going to want to do, is just put your head right over top of it, because you really truly only get one opportunity on this. And if somebody has a better way of doing it than what I just did there, that's what I have found works the best. I mean, even that is not 100% perfect, but that's about as good as I can ever get. That is one of the things about doing this type of dies versus paying somebody buku bucks to create a actual stamp for your disc. You do get some of those little side effects. And yeah, you can see I spent $16.99 on this disc. I don't really care. Pretty good deal for a blank in my opinion. So if you did have a stamp on this, you would just take some acetone and very diligently with either like cotton balls or an old white t-shirt that doesn't have anything else on it, make sure it doesn't have anything else on it. You can work on getting that off. And because this is a new one, this is super sticky. If you've seen some of my other videos, normally the transfer paper has been used a good 5, 6, 7, even up to a dozen times. And I normally don't have this kind of difficulty getting it off, but that is a-okay, because we are making sure everything's going to be perfect for this one. And a lot of times what I do is I just pull at a pretty severe angle, making sure all the lettering is where it needs to be. And you can see right here, this piece did not come off, so I'm going to spend a couple of seconds putting it back down, hoping it came off this time, and it did. is one of the little spikes. This part you really just want to take your time on, making sure it all comes off properly. And then go ahead and double check, make sure your disc looks all good. I like it. Then you can put that on there. Again, it came with this. The reason I don't like this is it's kind of hard to tell. I have accidentally put it back on the other side. Sorry, it was this one. I put it back down on this side, the non-glossy side, and ruined those. So I just found it easier. Just use an old Oracle 5160. White vinyl. I mean, I think I've had that probably for a couple of months now. So I'm just lightly going around the edge just to give myself a nice finished clean look. And overall, I would give this like a 9.5 out of 10. This side looks just a little closer than that side. Probably hard for you to tell. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with this. Overall, not too bad. We're gonna go ahead and put this on number 1. This is a heat gun, not a blow dryer, so it is a little warmer. So if you do have a heat gun, careful not to heat it up too much. Keep an eye over here. This is almost smoking. I can just start to see it actually right now. Go ahead and turn that off. Let it go ahead and sit up there. So that whole purpose that I just did right there was just to heat everything up just a little bit, and gives you the ability to press in everything down. Careful using a scraper. I have destroyed my vinyl before, but it does work. The big thing you're looking for is anything near where the cutout is. So anything around the lettering and stuff, you really want to make sure that liquid can't get up and under. That dye can infiltrate in. And heat just works wonders at getting this how it needs to be. I used to not use heat, and every now and again I'd get a real bad run, and ever since I've been using heat, that chance goes way down. Again, if you have it real close to the edge, sometimes I will pull out a scraper, push it down. This is a lot like weeding. It takes a lot of time because you want it to be right. So just take your good old time on this. If it takes you an extra 5 or 10 minutes, let it do that. Like these big bubbles right here, there's nothing near there. I'm not really worried about them. And you're gonna have those around your disc in different areas. So I don't know if you can see, even though I turned it off, it is still smoking over there, which is a good thing. That's exactly what we want it to do. Smoke a little bit. If it starts boiling, you almost have to restart the whole process. So do not let it boil. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this down over here. This is kind of a weird step, but I have a little butane torch here. And I'm just gonna go over the top of it. You don't wanna burn it. You just wanna go over the top of it, and this helps pop air bubbles. The other thing is if you see any debris, which can happen if you're using the same stuff lots of times, I just pull it to the edge. You can see how dark that stuff is. Used it many, many times. So the next thing to do is go ahead and put this down. This can be kind of tricky. Sometimes you can find little, like almost like little wings. And I like to put it down slowly. Careful, your pan is hot. And just let it sit, just like that. I'm gonna give this a solid 10 minutes, and then we'll be back to see what it looks like. So now that it's sat for 10 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and lift it up, but I am going to get a little, this is just a cut up t-shirt, next to it so I can get it dried off. I do like to go ahead and kind of go around the disc a little bit, cleaning it up. We are going to go ahead and set this over here. Typically I would put that away, but it is a little warm still, and don't want to do anything bad. And then we'll go ahead and clean this up real quick. I like how that looks. Throw away any of your bad stuff. Now we're going to go ahead and get some color on this beauty. So right here is where we're going to pull up. Same thing here. And you can see how vibrant that white is going to be with this. So this is going to be a little tricky because there is a centerpiece here. And yeah, I was able to keep that. That's awesome. So hopefully I can get that on the next guy. So I know it's not a lot of color, but that's going to be red, and then that is going to be that brown color. So we'll go ahead and mix that up a little bit. And we'll go ahead and put the cap back on. So that's all we need for the brown. Red is kind of the same way. You're just putting a nice little glob on. Now I know there's supposed to be a ring around the Georgia G there, but this one did not have that, so sorry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to another table now that we have the Lotion die on there, and that table is the one I normally use the heat lamp at, and I'm just going to keep the heat lamp about 12 inches away from the disc. It seems like that's worked really well, and I normally keep it on for 1 solid hour. So set a timer on your phone, and as long as you're careful, you can normally walk away and be good with that. So that's gone ahead and sat for just about an hour under a heat lamp. Again, it's just one of the basic heat lamps you can get, and this is going to be kind of our test, and I think that looks awesome. Yeah, 1 hour did it just about perfect. And well, that turned more black than brown, so maybe that'll come off a little more after I clean it up. We'll see. So you're going to go through a lot of paper towels, a lot of different things like that. But let's go ahead and start peeling it off. And the dish should feel a little warm. If it's really hot, you probably have too hot of a heat lamp. But the disc is just a touch warm because you do have the heat on it. And so far looking awesome. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, is when you start ripping this off and seeing all the hard work you did start to pay off. And normally at this point I go ahead and spray it at least once to clean it up. You can either use paper towels or whatever kind of rag you have. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. Look how cool that is. If this was helpful, go ahead and put a comment down in the comment section and tell me what part was helpful. That way I can make sure I focus on that in future videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so. Dalton, I really hope you like this. I think it looks really, really sweet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.